Hi, welcome to this course on creating an effective cold mail. I will be covering this course across multiple videos because I would like to share with you the logic and rationale that one should employ to be able to create a good, effective cold mail or any mail for that matter, which cannot be done over one or two videos. I will be sharing with you a new video once every 3 or 4 days covering one significant part of that cold mail. For example, the subject line or the introduction paragraph, both of which are very critical for the cold mail because we need to achieve the main objective of the cold mail, which is to ensure that it is opened, read and remembered. I am Srikanth Vasuraj and I come with 40 plus years of experience in selling technology products and solutions to many enterprises, large enterprises, medium enterprises across multiple domains. I have worked with many large organizations in very senior positions and managed large sales teams across geographies. I also provide sales training to large enterprise sales teams, so I understand the sales cycle and the challenges that are involved. I work with startups, both the leadership as well as the sales team, to train and mentor them on customer acquisition, go-to-market strategies, etc. And most important is that whatever I'm going to be sharing with you in the course of this and other videos that will be coming out in the future are all the experiences that I am gathering today and have been gathering on the recent vintage of 5 to 10 years. I send out cold mails myself. I make cold calls even today because I need to reach out to people to make them aware of my services, my business consulting services for startups or medium-sized enterprises or large enterprises for sales training. So I do exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you today. What is this course going to cover? This course will cover the entire spectrum of activities that you need to put in place to develop that effective cold mail. For me, a cold mail is a precursor to a cold call. We all know our typical experience when we make a cold call. Usually the response is not interested or give me a call next week, next month, later. How do we reduce this kind of a response? The only way we can do it is by creating awareness for what we are wanting to talk to the person about or what we want to sell to that person, and creating the context so that the person would remember what the person has read in the mail. So if you create relevant content in your mail, then we will achieve the main objectives of the mail being opened, read and remembered. This is important because you cannot expect a response. Response rates typically to cold mails are less than 1%. So in this course, we will cover how to ensure that the mail is opened and not deleted before being read. How to ensure that the mail is read fully, completely. And what is the kind of content that I need to put in for me to ensure that the mail is remembered? Because when we make that cold call, that person should be able to recall that that person has read such a mail at all or not. They may not remember the content, but we want them to at least remember that there was such a mail, which would then give us the opening to start a conversation. So what are the key takeaways that you can expect from this course? 1, how to create an effective subject line that will ensure the mail is opened. How to create the content to ensure that the mail would be read and remembered. I will also cover some best practices to ensure that we put in place a process by which we create relevant content for the person to whom we are going to be sending that mail. Who all will benefit from this course? Anyone in sales. Whatever the vintage, you may be a fresher, you may be just started your sales career, or you may have 10 to 15 years under your belt in sales. Each one will benefit from this course because each one requires to be on top of the game, especially when it comes to cold mails, because this is your first point of contact with your potential prospect with a intention with the intention to convert them to a customer. So how do you create that interest in that first moment of contact? So it applies to everybody. Senior people may think that they know it all. You probably do, but it is always good to get back to basics. You could treat this as a refresher, right? The other people who really benefit from this are the startups, especially the leadership team. The leadership team most often do not come from a sales background. So, but they are expected to go out there and get customers at least in the early stages of their startup's life cycle. So this would benefit them a lot because they will learn a lot of new things, new techniques on how to be able to acquire customers. Freshers can use this as a learning curve. They could get insights into this very important part of the sales cycle, and when displaying that knowledge, let's say in a sales interview, they could get that advantage over other people. What is the method? I could have made this course purely lecture oriented, where I keep telling you what to do. But I've always believed in one thing, and that is to show people how to do it. So the method that I'm going to be following here is to actually build this cold mail with 3 of my own examples. These are 3 examples from 3 different domains with 3 different objectives, sets of objectives with different target people that we need to connect with. So I'm going to be using the logic, rationale and everything that I used to create those cold mails when I was reaching out to these people in these different examples. So the first example that I will quickly cover these examples so that you have a background. The first example is about video recruitment solution providers. Now, I'm talking way back in 2014 when I came across this set of companies offering video recruitment technology, which probably today is a matter of fact, but in those days it was not an oft-repeated process. I mean, it was not often used HR process. So I found that there were 6 or 7 companies in the US, some companies in the Europe. For me, this was a brand new technology. This was a brand new concept, and knowing fully well the IT industry and the pains of in the interview frauds that they go through, that they experience, I felt that this would be of immense value in this market, and there could be something that I could bring to the table for them by bringing them into the country. So the objective of this cold mail was to reach out to these companies, convince them about coming to India and opening up operations. The second purpose of the mail was also to position myself as a potential lead for that initiative, head the operations, manage the operations. The target person out here obviously would be the CEO, because such initiatives, such decisions of exploring new geographies or global expansion, increasing market footprint are usually taken by the CEO and nobody else. The second example is about a recent assignment of mine which I did in 2019 for a Canadian cyber security services provider. These people were a startup. They were focused in the area of privileged access management services. Privileged credentials are given to system administrators, etc., who then dive into the internals of the information data, and they do whatever that needs to be done there. But they are managing the crown jewels of the enterprise. So it is very critical to have these credentials well protected against cyber theft. So the idea was to help them set up a customer base in the US and Canadian markets. So therefore, reach out to enterprises, the target person being the Chief Information Security Officer. The objective was to create a conversation and see whether they would consider my client to augment their internal information security team and put in place a robust privileged credentials management practice. The typical pain points here were that privileged access management was not a well-driven practice within most enterprises, largest of enterprises. So they were constantly open to cyber attacks. They were never compliant with audit requirements. there was a huge dearth of people, especially in this particular domain. So people were not available. If they did join, they came at big price, at large salaries, and because they were in demand, attritions were high. They were looking for new opportunities, better pay scales at every given point in time. So these were the typical pain points that we wanted to address and be able to create a conversation. The third example is my own reaching out to startup accelerators in India and offer my services as a lead mentor. The target people were the CEO of the accelerator, whose objectives were clearly to ensure that the startups went on to become successes and they got whatever was promised to them. And the second person, who the target person, was the program manager, because he is the operations person who's ensuring that all the loose ends are connected and the service is fully delivered to all the startups in their accelerator. A startup accelerator is typically a hub that provides all the building blocks for a startup to take that idea to a credible business plan and possibly a growth plan. And my objective was to reach out to these people and position myself and my USP. My USP being that I am a current practitioner. I mentor startups even today. I work with other accelerators. So the idea is to tell them that I come with current experience. I come with full understanding of current expectations of the startups as well as their customers. So idea was to create that USP for myself as a practice manager and focusing more on the how to do than the what to do. So these are the three examples that I will drive to build the cold mail, giving you different flavors so that you have a full understanding of what it entails to make that cold mail, ensure your objectives of it being read, opened, read and remembered, to create awareness, interest and a context. So this was a brief introduction to give you a quick peep into what is in store for you as far as building a cold mail is concerned and how you could benefit from it. I will be posting my next video on the kind of preparation and homework you need to put in place before you actually set out to create that cold mail. I will do this in the next 2 to 3 days and post the link on LinkedIn. Thank you. See you in the next video. Until then, wish you all the best with whatever you're doing.